Hello, welcome to Hatha Yoga. My name is Michelle Chua, and this is Justin. He'll be joining us today. Start in a comfortable seat, please. So we just watched the documentary Wisdom of Trauma, The Wisdom of Trauma, which features Dr. Gabor Mate and his work surrounding trauma and his holistic healing practice of it. Here's a quote from Gabor Mate in his book, In the Realm of Hungry Ghosts, Close Encounters with Addiction. The greatest damage done by neglect, trauma, or emotional loss is not the immediate pain they inflict, but the long-term distortions they induce in the way a developing child will continue to interpret the world and her situation in it. All too often, these ill-conditioned implicit beliefs become self-fulfilling prophecies in our lives. We create meanings from our unconscious interpretation of early events, and then we forge our present experiences from the meaning we've created. Unwittingly, we write the story of our future from narratives based on the past. Mindful awareness can bring into consciousness those hidden past-based perspectives so that they no longer frame our worldview. Choice begins the moment you disidentify from the mind and its conditioned patterns. The moment you become present. Until you reach that point, you are unconscious. In present awareness, we are liberated from the past. He also says, if nobody had the power to trigger you, not because you're closed down, shut down, and isolated, but because you're totally aware of yourself, that's where liberation actually is. So let's practice present moment awareness, embodying presence. Sit in a way that helps you to root into the surface below. Lift tall through the center of your spine. Relax your shoulders back and down. And maybe close your eyes as you begin to mindfully scan the sensations in your physical body. Acknowledging what's here now. Then bring your attention to the breath just as it is. And the way that your body's breathing. Notice how you feel energetically, as well as mentally and emotionally. Come back to your breath as this gauge of what's present in the moment, especially when you find, as the mind's nature is to do, that your attention wanders off somewhere besides here and now. Come back to the breath, come back to your body, feel into the sensations. Now clarify something you'd like to focus on in this practice and perhaps bring into the rest of your evening, the rest of your week. You might join your palms together at your heart as you set your sankalpa, your intention. I'm focusing on that. Inhale deeply through your nose. Exhale through the mouth. As you continue to deepen your breath, call to mind somebody that you care about, or a community or a cause that's important to you, and consider dedicating this practice to them as a means of expanding your practice beyond your individual self. Again, inhale deeply. This time, hold it in for a few seconds, relaxing the body. Then let it go slowly through the mouth. Hold it out at the bottom a few seconds, and continue the deep breaths. As a way of creating resonance as we share practices together, let's join our voices in 3 chants of Om. Inhale again. Om. And let's close the lips and start to practice Ujjayi Pranayama, victorious breathing. So softly narrow or constrict the back of your throat. Listen to your breath as you create a gentle whisper. Sustain your breath evenly in and out through your nose. Try that a few times as you're sitting here, listening for the qualities of balance, ease, and see if you can keep that breath rhythm audibly but gently going through much of this physical practice. Now, I invite you to sit in hero's pose, and that's where you place your shins on the floor and point your knees forward so they're no wider than your hips width apart. If you like to offer your knees support, you can take a block and place it between your ankles and sit on the block. Make sure that your toes are pointed back. Now, sitting tall, root through the two sitting bones. Inhale your arms forward. Interlace your fingers and exhale the palms inside out. Press the shoulders and hips down. Inhale here, get a little bit longer through the center of your spine. And then exhale to your right, side bend. Pause where you're at. Inhale, press your left hip down, even deeper. Lift the spine from your hips. Exhale, keep side bending in this direction, pressing the heels of your palms towards the right wall. Inhale, lift up to center. Maybe switch the interlacing of your thumb and index. See if that feels slightly different in the shoulders. Heels of the palms up, shoulders and hips down. Lift to your crown. Exhale to your left. Pressing your right hip down a little more firmly. Lift your spine from your hips as you breathe in. Exhale, keep side bending. Press the heels of your palms out towards the left wall. Now notice your front ribs as you're here. Seal the bottom of your front ribs towards your back so that there's not an overarch in the lower back. One more breath. And then inhale, come on up. This time, open your arms like a T. Reach out through the fingertips with the palms facing forward, shoulders down, spine tall. And as you keep your two hips evenly grounded where your pelvis is not moving, take a deep breath in. And to your right side, exhale, twist by turning your rib cage without turning your pelvis. Let's stay here a few breaths. Inhale, press down through both hips. Lift up through the center of your spine. Exhale, keep turning your left ribs towards your right wall and your right ribs towards your back wall. Softening the shoulders down, reaching wide through the arms. Now peek at your knees to make sure you're not turning your pelvis. See that your knees are evenly facing forward. Your left knee is not coming forward more than the right. One more breath. Inhale, raise your arms, come back to center. Relax the shoulders, hug in the front ribs, open the arms wide. Exhale to the left, begin to twist. Each time you breathe in, press your hips down and rebound a lift of energy up your spine to your crown. And each time you breathe out, keep your pelvis still and continue to rotate your left ribs towards your rear wall and your right ribs towards the left wall. Now peek at your knees, make sure they're even. Right knee is not forward of the left. Take one more breath, lifting through the back of your skull, back of your neck. Inhale, lift up. And exhale, release the arms. Let's come down into all fours, tabletop position. Taking a few rounds of cat-cow, spread your fingers wide. Inhale, lift your chest forward and up. Exhale, rounding your back. Inhale, cow pose, looking up. Exhale, cat pose, contracting the belly. About 3 more cycles on your own. Betalasana, cat, cow pose. feeling this flexion and extension of your spine. Now at the end of your next exhale, tucking your toes, lift your hips high and back into Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Spend the first 5 breaths there if you need to move your body in any way that helps you loosen it up. You might pedal your feet slowly in place. You might shake and nod your head or anything else. Or maybe you're already ready to be still. Notice the sound of your breath. Keep that even, smooth quality. Spread your thumbs towards each other. Point the index fingers forward and wrap your triceps towards the floor. Bend your knees, lift your heels and hips high, and exhale as you look past your fingertips. Then walk or lightly jump to the front of your mat, standing in a forward fold. Separate your feet hips distance apart. Press your fingertips either on blocks or the ground in front of you. Inhale, stretch your spine parallel to the ground in Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, bow over your legs in Uttanasana. From down to your feet, inhale, sweep your arms forward. Rise to stand in a gentle back bend, rolling the shoulders back as you look up. Exhale, join your hands together at your heart in Padasana. Let's move through Sun Salutation C. Listen to your breath. Inhale, sweep your arms forward, coil your chest up, little back bend. Exhale, hinge from your hips. Plant your fingertips down. Inhale, step your left knee back to a kneeling lunge. Look up. Hold your breath. Exhale, walk to plank pose. Then exhale, lower knees, chest, then chin. Inhale, slide your belly and legs to the ground and roll the shoulders back to cobra. Tuck your toes and exhale, lift your hips to downward dog. Inhale, step your left foot beside your left thumb. Lower your back knee, look up. Exhale, step your right foot forward and bow. Inhale, sweep your arms forward. Find a gentle back bend at the top. Exhale, join your hands at your hearts. Second side, inhale your arms forward, coil your chest up. Exhale, bow over your legs. Inhale, step the right knee back, kneeling lunge, look up. Hold the breath, step into plank pose. Then exhale, lower knees, chest, then chin. Inhale, roll the shoulders back to cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, step your right foot beside your right thumb. Lower your back knee, look up. Exhale, step your left foot forward and bow. Inhale, sweep your arms forward. Gentle back bend at the top. Exhale, hands together at your heart. Sun Salutation A. Inhale your arms forward. Roll your shoulders back and down. Exhale, forward fold. Press into the ground or blocks. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Step into plank pose, and as you exhale, glide forward, bend your elbows to hug your ribs in Chaturanga Dandasana. Lower all the way for cobra or flip the toes into upward facing dog. Exhale to downward facing dog. This time hold still, steady your gaze on one spot, finishing 3 slow breaths. When you hear the end of your third exhale, then walk or lightly jump to the front of your mat. Inhale, lengthen forward, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold. Inhale, sweep your arms forward, rise into a back bend in Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, Padasana, hands at the heart. Let's take 2 more rounds of Surya Namaskar A. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, bow forward. Inhale, lengthen forward. Either walk to plank and lower or float to Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale to cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale to downward facing dog. Pause there for 3 deep breaths. Finding present moment awareness through the sensations in your breath. through what you're feeling in your body and witnessing here. When you finish the third exhale, walk or float to the top. Inhale, lengthen forward. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise up, coil your chest up. Exhale to your heart center. Last one, sun salutation A. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, bow forward. Inhale, lengthen forward. Walk or float. Take it through your vinyasa on your own. Pausing in downward dog for 3 breaths. So in your downward dog, feel again triceps rotating towards the ground, chest pressing towards the shins, hips lifting high and back. When you finish the third exhale, walk or float to the front of your mat. Then inhale, lengthen forward. Exhale, fold. Inhale, arms forward, rising up. Exhale to your heart. Moving on to Surya Namaskar B for 1 round. Step the big toes together to touch. And as you hear the breath in, bend your knees together, chair pose. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lengthen forward. Take it through your vinyasa. When you get to downward facing dog, inhale, raise your right leg back. Keep your hips leveled. Exhale, step the foot beside your right thumb, spin your back heel down. Facing forward, inhale, rise to warrior 1. Take the exhale into your vinyasa. Then at downward facing dog, inhale, raise your left leg back, keeping the hips leveled. Exhale, the foot beside your left thumb, drop the back heel. Inhale, rise to Virabhadrasana 1. Ride the exhale into your vinyasa. At downward facing dog, pause for 3 breaths. Fine tune the qualities of your breathing. After your third exhale, walk or float to the top, bringing your feet together to touch. Then inhale, lengthen forward. Exhale, fold. Bend your knees together. Inhale, chair pose. Exhale to rise up. So from here, let's step the feet apart at least hips width, parallel, and bring your hands behind you to clasp, or grab a strap to hold between the hands. Roll your shoulders back. Inhale, look up, lifting your chest. Exhale, fold from your hips with the option to bend your knees if that allows you more ease and releasing the neck. Let's take a few breaths here in this variation of Uttanasana. Stretch your arms away from your lower back. Bend your elbows slightly, and as you drop your head, lift your shoulders away from it. Tilting your weight forward. Couple more deep breaths. Then lower your hands and step back to downward facing dog. Optional to flow through a vinyasa first. As you arrive in downward facing dog, press evenly down through both palms. Keep your 2 hips leveled with each other. And inhale, raise your right leg behind you. As you exhale, keep the shoulders leveled and cross the right knee to touch your left elbow or tricep. Stack your shoulders over your wrists. Step the right foot beside your right thumb. Come into a high lunge. Then inhale, rise up to crescent pose. Join your hands together at your heart, and spinning the back heel down, align your right heel to the arch of your left foot. Warrior 2, open your arms apart. Now let's land here for a few breaths. Align your right heel to the arch of the left foot and bend your right knee just on top of the heel. Rotate your right outer hip under your body, opening the right knee to point out towards your pinky toe. At the same time, firm the outer edge of your left foot into the ground and firm the top of your left thigh bone back. Now feel that your spine is as vertically centered between your hands and feet as possible by stacking your shoulders right above your hips. Steady your gaze on one spot, just past the right fingertips, and let's listen to a couple last breaths. Virabhadrasana 2. Now entering extended side angle pose. Keep the bend in your right knee, keep rolling the right hip under. Glide your hips towards the back of your mat as you reach your right hand past your right knee, placing the right hand or the forearm, let's start there, the forearm on the right thigh, left arm up. Now you might place the right hand on a block of the floor outside of your right leg, directly under the shoulder, just as long as that does not shorten or compress the right side of your torso. You're able to roll the right hip under. Now extended side angle is rotating the left tricep to face your left wall and then sweeping that arm overhead, making sure the shoulders can still relax down your back as you're spinning your chest slightly to face the sky. Now land your eyes on one spot and let's take a few more breaths here in Utthita Parshvakonasana. Feel that your right arm and your right leg are firming against each other as you're turning your chest towards the sky. Keep the bend in your right knee, pressing through your feet. Inhale, rise up through Warrior 2 and flip the right palm to face up. Exhale to Peaceful Warrior, side bending towards the rear of your mat. Inhale your hands to the floor, downward facing dog. Take a deep breath here. Keep your two hips leveled. Inhale, raise your left leg behind you. Keep your two shoulders leveled. Exhale, cross that knee to touch your right elbow or tricep in plank. Step the left foot beside your left thumb. Stay on the ball of your back foot. Inhale, rise up to crescent pose. Spin your right heel down, align left heel to arch of right foot, and open up the arms into Warrior 2. Wrap your left outer hip underneath your body as you bend your front knee right on top of the heel, pointing the knee towards your pinky toe. Press the outside edge of your right foot deeply into the earth as you firm the top of your right thigh bone back. Stack your shoulders right above your hips as you relax the shoulders down, lifting up to your crown. Steady your gaze or drishti just past the left hand. Last few breaths in Virabhadrasana 2. Great breathing. Keep the bend in your left knee. Glide your hips sideways towards the back of your mat. Reach the left hand towards your front wall and start by placing the forearm on your left thigh, right arm to the sky. Then you might decide to place the left hand on the left side of your left calf, just beneath your shoulder, maybe on a block. Rotate your right tricep to face the right wall, pinky finger pointing at the right wall, and sweep that arm overhead for extended side angle pose. As your left arm and left leg firm against each other, feel your left outer hip hug in towards you while you rotate your chest slightly to face the sky. Let's take a few more breaths in Utthita Parshvakonasana. Feel that strong line of energy emanating from the outer right foot, rooting down, up your right leg, up the whole right side of your torso and through your right fingertips. Keep the bend in your left knee. Inhale, rise to Warrior 2. Flip the left palm up. Exhale, side bend towards the back wall, Peaceful Warrior. Inhale, hands to the floor. Exhale, downward facing dog. Let's take 3 deep breaths here. What are you feeling in your body right now? Bring your awareness to your physical body in the present moment. training the mind. As you keep your hips leveled again, inhale, raise your right leg behind you. And once again, exhale, cross the knee to touch your left elbow or tricep, but this time keep the leg there. And extend the right leg towards the left wall. Flex the foot, place the outer foot on the ground, and spin the left heel down. Fall in triangle. Make sure your right wrist is right under your right shoulder as you push the floor away with the right hand and raise your left arm towards the sky. Now you might stay here, or if you're looking for a little more rigor, plug the right thigh bone into the hip socket and flex the right foot off the floor. Maybe you raise the left arm overhead. Couple more breaths. Lower the left hand beside the right, sweep the right leg behind you, three-legged downward dog. Breathe in. Exhale, step the foot beside the right thumb, high lunge again. Inhale, rise up to crescent pose. So take a moment to make sure that your feet have their separate lanes. Your feet are as wide apart as your hips and parallel to each other. Lift your frontal hip bones. It might require bending the back knee. And scissor your right hip back as you bend the front knee right on top of the heel. Let's join the hands together in prayer. And as you press back through your inner left heel, inhale, stretch your spine down the midline of your mat. Keep your hips leveled and exhale, twist to your right, hooking the left elbow outside of your right thigh. Join your hands in prayer or open the arms apart. As you breathe in, firm your inner left heel towards your back wall. As you lengthen your spine towards your front wall. As you breathe out, firm your outer hips towards each other, keeping your pelvis still. Remember, we're not rotating the pelvis. As you continue to spin the right ribs towards the ceiling and the left ribs towards your right wall. Send the shoulders down the back. That's it. This is a variation of revolved side angle pose or Parita Parshvakonasana. Keep your breath steady and gaze at the floor just in front of your right toes. Keep the belly firm and start to slowly, you might catch some hang time as you lift the left leg, step the left foot to meet the right, entering revolved chair pose at the top of your mat. Bending both knees, peek and see that your knees are in line with each other. Left knee is not coming forward more than the right. And sink your hips lower than your heart as you continue to twist. Parita Utkatasana, revolved chair pose. One more deep breath. Sink your hips a little lower. Unravel the arms up. Inhale, chair pose. Exhale, rise up to stand. Deep breath here. Now imagine your body down the center line was a seesaw. As you flex your left foot, curling the toes towards the shin, begin to tilt your torso forward, lifting your left leg behind you until you create a horizontal line down the center of your body. You might bend the right knee if there's any tightness in the hamstring. Now turn the left outer hip down, tack your right hip back, and make sure again each leg has a separate lane. They're not crisscrossing. Place your fingertips down on the floor or blocks and lengthen your torso forward. Keep your left foot solidly flexed. Walk your left hand about a foot in front of your right big toe. Use your right hand to gently press your right hip back as you lengthen down your center line. Breathe in. Exhale, keep the pelvis still and turn your chest to face the right wall, raising your right arm in revolved half moon pose. Parita Ardha Chandrasana. Take the same principles we've been practicing as you breathe in, elongate through the center line of your body, press the left heel back. As you breathe out, firm your outer hips towards your midline and continue to spin right ribs towards the sky, left ribs towards the right wall. Couple more breaths. Slowly bend the right knee, step back to crescent lunge, where it all began, arms overhead, Deep breath in, back stroke the arms to the floor, hands to the floor, downward facing dog. Pause, sense the quality of the breath. As you keep your hips leveled, inhale, raise your left leg behind you. Exhale, cross that knee to touch your right elbow, extending the left leg towards your right wall. Lower your outer left foot to the ground, fall in triangle. Spin the right heel to the floor and make sure your left shoulder is right above the left wrist as you press off the left hand and raise the right. Now, you could opt to lift the left leg by plugging the thigh bone into the hip socket and flexing the foot off the floor. You could opt to raise the right arm overhead. How is your breathing here? One more deep breath. Place the right hand at the front of your mat. Come back to three-legged downward facing dog. Inhale there. Exhale, step the left foot beside your left thumb in a high lunge. Inhale, rise up, crescent pose. Separating your feet hips distance apart, parallel your feet. It might help to bend the back knee as you're lifting the frontal hip bones and finding your center. Scissor your left hip back and stack your front knee right on top of the heel. Now feel that your two hips are leveled in height. Try to maintain that as we enter our twist. Join your hands at your heart. Inhale, lean the torso forward, lengthen. Exhale to the left, begin a twist, hooking the right elbow outside your left thigh. Either joining your hands in prayer or opening the arms wide. As you breathe in, firm your inner right heel back and lengthen your spine down the center of your mat. As you exhale, firm your outer hips towards each other. Keep your pelvis still. Continue to rotate your rib cage. Can you hear your breath? Parita Parshvakonasana. 2 more breaths. Now, stay in the twist. Look at the ground in front of your left toes. Slow as you can, step the right foot to meet the left, entering revolved chair pose. Bending both knees, sink your hips lower than your heart. Find an evenness in the knees. You could even peek to see the right knee's not coming forward more than the left. Breathing in, continue to lengthen your spine. Breathing out, continue to twist. Shoulders down the back. Parita Utkatasana, revolved chair pose. Last 2 breaths. Sink your hips lower. Inhale the arms up, chair pose. Exhale, rise up, mountain pose. Deep breath in. So remember that seesaw. Find the center line of your body and keep it a straight line. Separate your feet hips width apart. Give them each their separate lane. Flex your right toes up towards the shin. And as you tilt your torso forward, lift your right leg behind you, lifting from the inner thigh. Turning the right hip to face the ground as you parallel your spine to the earth. Warrior 3, Virabhadrasana 3. Place your left fingertips on blocks or the ground right under your shoulders and firm your inner right heel back as you grow the spine forward. Breathe in. Place your left hand on your left outer hip. Lower the right hand about a foot in front of your left big toe. Draw the left hip back, stretch through the center line of your body, and then exhale. Keep the pelvis still and start to twist to the left. Raise your left arm up, revolved half moon pose. Harita Ardha Chandrasana. Each inhale, lengthen. Each exhale, find stability in the pelvis as you continue to twist. Great focus. 2 more breaths. Slowly bend the left knee, step back to crescent lunge. Inhaling your arms up. Backstroke the arms. Exhale, downward facing dog. Steady your eyes and let's listen to 3 deep breaths. Then walk or float your feet to the front of your mat into a forward fold, stretching the outer wrists in Padahastasana. Lift your toes and slip your palms face up underneath the soles of your feet. Try to get your toes to meet the inner creases of your wrists. As you lean forward, inhale, lift your chest through your upper arms. Exhale, hinge from your hips, dropping your head. If possible, bend your elbows apart to lift your shoulders away from your neck. And maybe give the head some movement here, a few breaths. Maybe give the mouth some movement, like fluttering the lips. Slip your palms out from underneath. Heel toe your feet together so your big toes touch. Bend your knees. Bring your knees together. Inhale, chair pose. And exhale, rise up to stand. Pause and breathe. And just notice what's present for you here right now. And then please turn to face the wide width of your mat. Come to stand at the center and step your feet wide apart. Wide stance, preparing for wide-legged forward fold. You may like to have 2 blocks to reach for on the ground if you feel like the floor might be too far away. Place your hands on your hips, make sure your feet are parallel, and inhale, roll your shoulders back, look up. Exhale, hinge from your hips, lower your fingertips. Inhale, stretch your chest through your upper arms, shift a little more weight forward. Then exhale, fold in. If possible, walking your hands further back where you start to bend your elbows back like chaturanga arms. And if you were here last week, we practiced tripod headstand. Here's one way to get into it. If you're able to place the crown of your head on the floor, and this is if you have no neck injuries, no neck issues, then your heels of your palms create the other 2 vertices of an equilateral triangle base. As you press your hands into the floor, elbows bent at 90 degrees, stacked right above your wrist, lift the shoulders away from your neck and lighten the weight that's on your head. Then you could either place your knees on your upper arms like you would in crow pose, and then maybe start to straighten one leg at a time, or straddle the legs off the ground with both feet flexed and close the legs straight up, creating a vertical line. Flex your feet if you're here. Lift up through the insteps of your feet and lengthen your tailbone up towards your inner heels. Hug your front ribs in towards your back. So whatever way you're practicing your inversion, which includes wide-legged forward fold, let's listen to 5 more deep breaths. Then gently set your feet down if they're lifted. Crawl your fingertips forward and inhale, lengthen forward. Exhale, bend your knees generously. Bring your hands to your hips. Point the elbows towards the sky. Inhale, slowly rise up. Let's come to sit on your mat and grab a block. Set your feet in front of you. Place the block by the skinniest width to hug firmly between your knees and thighs. See that your feet are as wide apart as your knees and they're parallel to each other. Spread your weight firmly down through the 4 corners of each foot. And then extend your arms forward with your palms face up, relaxing the shoulders. Allow a few breaths, several breaths, to slowly lower onto your back, strengthening your core muscles. When you eventually land your head, bring your arms down by your sides and slide your feet back until you could almost touch your heels with your fingertips, but not quite. Let's prepare for bridge pose, one of 3 back bends. So press the shoulders down, tilt your chin back, and as you breathe in, lift your tailbone, stretch it towards the block, lifting your hips. Take another 5 to 7 breaths before you lower. Walk the upper arms closer together under your back ribs, arms straight. If your hands meet, you might interlace your fingers. Now, as you're hugging the block, stretch the fronts of your thighs forward and activate your hamstrings. That's the feeling, as if you're dragging the heels back towards your glutes, but don't actually move the feet. Also spin your inner thighs slightly towards the floor, and then feel the open space at your throat as you invite deep breaths in, expanding your lungs. Setu Bandha Sarvangasana, bridge pose. When you're ready to, with an exhale, slowly lower one vertebra at a time, tailbone last. Put the block aside, and let's roll over onto our stomachs, lying face down for the second back bend, which is bow dhanurasana. So lying face down, slide your knees as close together as you can. Then bend your knees and reach back with your hands to catch your outer feet, good place to start, or inner feet, a deeper sensation. Press your pubic bone into the ground and kick your feet back as you pull your feet towards you, lifting your knees. Try to keep them no wider than hips distance. Coil your chest up and press the shoulders down your back. Gaze on the ground ahead so you're not straining the neck. Give yourself at least 5 more breaths before you let go to rest. Now this back bend especially helps to stimulate digestion as you're putting pressure on the abdomen and stretching it at the same time. When you've let it go, you might make a pillow out of your forearms to rest your forehead on, and maybe windshield wiper the shins side to side for some lower back ease. 3 breaths. Now for our last back bend, choose to either practice bridge, bow, or follow me into upward bow, which we practiced a couple weeks ago and broke down. So if you're going to upward bow, lie on your back again, and you may like to have a block between your knees and thighs, just like we did for bridge. Set up similarly as in bridge. Heels where you could almost touch them, feet parallel to each other. Raise your arms towards the ceiling and rotate your triceps forward. Bend your elbows and flex your wrists, flipping your palms face down alongside your ears. Maybe slightly turn out the hands because you want to keep the elbows no wider apart than your shoulders distance. So just like the legs are parallel, imagine you're hugging a wide block between the elbows. Keep the arms parallel for shoulder safety. When you're ready, lift your hips, stretch the fronts of the thighs forward, and activate your hamstrings. Then bring the crown of the head to the floor and maybe adjust the hands wider apart. If you feel okay to go further, push off your hands and feet, and you're in it. 5 to 8 breaths. Urdhva Dhanurasana. So whatever last back bend you're practicing, 5 to 8 breaths.
Shivoham, Shivoham, Namah Shivaya Parapurnam, Shivoham, Shivoham.
And when you finally come down, don't hug your knees into your chest. Take another moment to windshield wiper your shins side to side with no block between the legs. Then wrap your right leg over your left leg like eagle pose. and slide your hips towards the right edge of your mat. Slide your right arm wide on the floor, grounding the shoulder, lift your feet, and begin to twist to your left, making sure the right shoulder stays on the ground. Inhale to your nose. Listen to the exhale out through the nose. Continuing your Ujjayi breath. Give it one more deep breath here before you unravel, uncross the legs, bring your pelvis towards the midline of the mat, and then wrap the left leg over the right. Scoot your hips towards the left edge of the mat. Open your left arm wide, and grounding that shoulder, lift your feet and twist to your right. One more breath. And then coming back to center, uncross your legs. Draw your bent knees into your chest. And then rock over to one side to press up to sit. Let's come into bound angle pose, bringing the soles of your feet together as you bend your knees apart. If you find your back wants to round here, you might find it helpful to sit up on a folded blanket. Then root your sitting bones, lift up through the center of your spine, relax the shoulders down. Inhale, hug in the belly, and exhale, little by little hinge forward from your hips. Keep an open space at your throat, maybe walk the hands forward. Let's listen to 3 more slow breaths. Walking your hands towards you, press your hips down and begin to lift your chest. Inhale to rise. Now position yourself in a way that you can straddle your legs apart for a wide-legged seated forward fold. Cup the tops of your thighs with your hands and roll your inner thighs back to feel your sitting bones rooting down. Try to keep your knees pointing up. Might help to flex the feet. And place your hands in front of you on blocks or the ground. Inhale, lengthen through the center of your spine. And then exhale, start to bow forward. Just take it at your pace or range for 10 slow breaths. Making sure to maintain integrity in both your breathing and your spine. Keeping the shoulders down away from the neck. Keeping the throat open. And a slight lift in your chest. Finish one more full breath here. Press your fingertips into the ground and firm the belly in, slowly rising up. Take your hands to your outer thighs, lifting your bent knees as you drag your feet towards the front of your mat. With legs straight in front of you, feet hips width apart, let's prepare for one more seated forward fold, Paschimottanasana. You might move the flesh aside from your sitting bones to root down. Now, as you flex your feet, press the insteps forward. Firm your outer hips towards your midline. And then lift up through the center of your spine, relaxing the shoulders. Take a deep breath. As you exhale, hug in the belly and begin to hinge from your hips. Some of you might be using a strap around the balls of your feet. You might be holding on to the backs of your legs or catching hold of your big toes. Either way, find a little lift in the chest. Give it another 5 breaths here in Paschimottanasana. Then pressing your hips down, lead with your chest. Inhale to slowly rise up. Give yourself 1 more minute as you lie down on your back to find a comfortable way to cool off in which you're lifting your legs up higher than your heart. Some of you might practice Salamba Sharavangasana, traditional shoulder stand. Some of you might use a block under your sacrum and come into supported shoulder stand, lifting the legs up. Or you might have your pelvis completely on the floor, bending the knees in happy baby. So find your own way for 1 minute. And in that minute, begin to lengthen your out breaths slightly longer than your in breaths. You might count to 5 as you breathe in and count to 7 as you breathe out, a way of activating the rest and digest or parasympathetic nervous system. Now, if you're practicing Salamba Sharavangasana, traditional shoulder stand, you might move your way through Halasana, plow, and finish off in fish pose on your own to complete that mini sequence. Otherwise, allow a few last breaths where you are before you begin to lower your body into a position of complete rest for corpse pose. Stretching your legs apart so that your feet splay wider apart than your hips. Might even roll your thighs inward and outward a few times and then just let them go. Feel that release. And then turning the palms face up, slightly away from your thighs, walk your shoulder blades down your back ribs. Feel your neck neutral. Let your head be heavy. And as you close your eyes, you might take one last controlled deep breath, imagining breathing into your whole body, holding the breath for a few seconds at the top, before you very slowly ease the breath out to your lips. And from there, surrender control of breath. Arriving in full awareness and stillness. We'll be here for 5 minutes before meditation, Shavasana. resting here a little longer with your eyes still closed, feel into your physical sensations again. Notice the way your body is naturally breathing now. Sense your mind and your emotional state, how you feel energetically. Notice the way that you've practiced yoga today and how it's affecting you now. And as you keep noticing, begin to rub your thumbs across your fingertips, starting with subtle movement. Gently turn your head, stretching your neck. And from here, begin to move in your own way. You might eventually turn over to your right side and rest your head. And as you feel ready, press your hands into the ground, lifting your head last. Rise up into a comfortable seat for 5 minutes in meditation. Sit in a way that you can feel grounded, alert, tall in the spine, and at ease. Place your hands in a mudra that helps you focus, like stacking the palms face up on your lap with thumb tips touching, or thumb and index fingers touching. And either close your eyes or steady a soft gaze at one spot at eye level. And let's begin. Just letting your body breathe as you sense the sensations of the breath. And if your attention becomes drawn to something other than the sensations of the breath, like a sound or a thought that takes you into a story, as soon as you notice that happening, come back to the sensations in the breath. in our meditation practice, we practice letting go of the storylines in our heads and coming back to our present moment experience, which is the breath. This is a practice of cultivating clear perception. And as we strengthen our ability to clearly perceive what's in front of us in the now, we strengthen our ability to be inhibited by old patterns, beliefs, and perspectives. As Dr. Gabor Mate said, when you're no longer bound by your triggers because you're fully aware of yourself, then that's where liberation is. Closing this practice, let's join the palms meet at the heart. Welcome any thought of gratitude, anything that you appreciate in this moment. And let that feeling of gratitude enliven your intention, this sankalpa that you set at the start of this practice. Remember what that is. And now I invite you to see that person or community, whatever you dedicated this practice to, see them in your mind's eye enjoying benefit from your practice today. And together, let's close, joining in one chant of Om. Inhale deeply. Bow in towards your heart center. Acknowledge the light within you. The light in me bows to the light in you. Namaste.